Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Cyberzoic release. As you can see, this time we have the 1/18th scale Achillobator, and this is a figure, a species that was released in the Beasts of the Mesozoic line, and that's something they've been doing a lot lately, is giving us two different variants in different lines, of course, when it comes to Cyberzoic and the Beasts of the Mesozoic. But this time we have just a little bit of a different paint variant and also a little extra feathers, I think, added to this one over the previously released version. But you can see the box art again is fantastic. The new Cyberzoic box art is gorgeous. I love the overall appearance to it. I think it just looks extremely cool, and even better than the Beasts of the Mesozoic. And you can see a really nice shot against some nice artwork here for the Achillobator. Over here on the side, pretty much the same thing, of course. We also see that it is 1/18th scale, and then again the same stuff over here on the side. But then you also have some information and images here on the back, also showing us that you will have armor for your Achillobator coming at some point in the near future. And then we have some more images and everything down here, more stuff that is coming from this line, and then some more information over here on the side about the figure and the species. Little information there on the underside as well. So let's go ahead, pop this box open and check it out. So of course you always have some fun extras with your figures. First of all, we can see we have different feet here that have different positioning for the toes and stuff, so that you can get these feet on if you choose to. You can get a nice shot here from the underside of what the toes look like in the positioning. Very different from the toes we have on the dinosaur currently. But you also have different stands that you can see. You have like this newer style stand that you get when it comes to your Beasts of the Mesozoic and now Cyberzoic figures, with the different rods and stuff to help display it. But there is also like that old school classic base that we used to get with these figures with the different raptors. So I really love that that's included. Obviously it's clear it's not painted like they used to be, but I really like that they have included that with this release as well, helping to fit this raptor in with the older raptor releases. We also, of course, have the assembly instructions, stuff that's very important to read and listen to if you are unfamiliar with these figures. If you have not acquired any in the past, you absolutely need to read that before messing around with the figure. Then when it comes to the card, you can see a really cool shot of the Achillobator here on the front of the card, and there's like a castle in the background, again giving us that strong Cyberzoic feel, that very cool fantasy style feel for this dinosaur. But then here on the back of the card, you've got a really cool shot of our Achillobator, and then some information again down here. So that's always really fun. And then, of course, the Achillobator itself, and just like with the first version, this thing is incredible. They've absolutely knocked this one out of the park yet again. Again, the Achillobator is a really cool species of dinosaur that until Beasts of the Mesozoic put one out, I've never seen anybody make a figure for, so it was really exciting to have one coming from them. But now, again, it's super exciting to have two different versions of this species, and it kind of gives you the ability to have, in my opinion, a male and female, especially because they kind of look, you know, fairly similar overall when it comes to the even the paint apps and everything. Now, to my knowledge, this one is exactly the same sculpt as the previously released version. It's not like with the Allosaurus where we had a different head sculpt giving us a different species of Allosaurus. This is the same species as the previously released version, which means the sculpt is exactly the same. We just have a different paint variant for it. But you can see here in the face, you've got quite a bit of variation of color with different like reds and oranges, as well as blacks, and even some light tones like some light grays or off-whites there, up there on the tip of the snout, and some yellowish browns down under that. The paintwork again is exceptionally done. The actual application looks so smooth, so natural, and they always apply the paint in a way where you have some nice depth to the coloration of the figure. Come on, focus camera, there we go. So you can see different variations of color and really nice washes and dry brushing and stuff that they usually apply to these figures. And again, you can kind of see that here on this Achillobator. We can see the eyes are painted quite nicely with a light tone given a black pupil. They also have a nice gloss coat, so you can see as I let the light hit it, the eyes shining. We have the nostrils and everything nicely highlighted with a lighter kind of a pinkish tone in there as well. We of course do have an articulated jaw, and as you can see, once you move to the inside of the mouth, you have like a purplish tone in there. My camera loses focus. We can see all of the teeth nicely painted with an off-white, and then we can see the teeth and the purplish tone for the inside of the mouth on the upper side as well. And again, a nice gloss coat in there on top of everything, giving it a very realistic saliva-like look. It's just kind of hard to get in there. The mouth doesn't open super wide, so you can't really get in there too well to see it, but you've got a decent visual, I would think. You can also see the tongue sticking up there on the inside of the mouth. As you move back, you start to see the black kind of leading back here and almost striping away from the face. Same deal down here, and then they kind of meet up right here. We also have a different variation of a brown up here on the back of the neck, but you can even see some of the orangish tones sort of creeping through the browns up there on the back of the neck, which is pretty cool. And again, that light tone heading up through the center of the head, but then disappearing as we transition to that mixture of oranges and blacks and browns up here on the top of the head. The really nice dry brushing. I think they've done a great job of bringing the detail out right there. As you move down, you have a little element of flashiness on this one right here with this big cluster of feathers leading into the body. This is actually kind of like a little floater section, which you can see, but the other one basically had the darker tone of the body overtaking that area of feathers, whereas this one has a nice mixture of like light tans and off-whites for that area, which help to, again, highlight that section of the feathers really quite nicely, and again helping it to stand out, maybe giving this one, in my opinion, a more male-like look, and the other one maybe more of a female-like look. You do see a little variation of color, including a nice pink that moves down the underside of the neck and throat, down into the underbelly of the dinosaur. We can also see some nice mixtures of blacks and browns as you move down through the body of the Achillobator. Basically a really dark gray or a black moving along the spinal column up here. And then as you move down into the side, you have some nice mixtures of blacks and browns for the primary body color of the dinosaur, which looks really, really nice. And then we transition again to some lighter tones for the underbelly. But I like that even from here to here, the coloration differs. So there's never any laziness when it comes to the paint apps of the beasts of the Mesozoic or Cyberzoic. As you move down through the length of the arm, you can see again some nice variations of browns, as well as some very cool paintwork for the feathers out here on the plumage of the arms. As you have this nice display of plumage out here, you have a little bit of a different shade of color here compared to here, and you even see some bluish tones kind of creeping through with a nice dry brushing of an off-white over top of those feathers. And then you return to a darker tone as you lead out, and you can see that the hands are painted with the same sort of like orangish tones that we see in the face. You also have the nails again painted with a nice dark gray, given a nice gloss coat as well. There's even a brown wash, it looks like, that has been added to the skin textured areas of the hands, and there's a lighter brown basically you see here on the underside of the arms and everything. And then as you move back, it pretty much follows the same trend, honestly, as you have just the mixtures of darker variations of browns with little hints of black picking through the browns. You also have the lighter tones of the underbelly moving along the back of the leg, as well as a different variation of brown basically separating the lighter and darker shades of color. Then when we move down into the feet, you can see the feet again are an orangish tone with a nice wash, and again even a lighter orangish tone for the undersides of the feet. Always again so much paintwork, giving this such a realistic look. We see the nails again painted with that nice glossy coloration, and then we move back out into the tail, and we again basically just have those same sort of tones, but you can see the darker black basically running along the outer edge of the feathers as you lead out into the plumage of the tail, and again mixtures of those browns and blacks here moving along the center of the tail, but you can see more brown in this area than black, but you kind of see the black creeping through the browns, and then the lighter tones here on the underside of the Achillobator with a little bit more of like an orangish brown showing up right there as you move through. The articulation is the same on this as it was for the first version. Obviously you have really nice, really smooth articulation in the neck, giving you some really impressive mobility. Even more impressive actually when it comes to going up and down. You can see that is really smooth. Quite a bit smoother than we actually saw in the Allosaurus. So articulation on this one is fantastic. You of course also have the articulation in the shoulder as well as the elbow and the wrist, which is pretty impressive. That it's moving so smoothly right out of the package. A lot of the time they're kind of stiff when you come out of the packaging, but this one's doing pretty good for itself. That was a little stiff right there, but obviously some nice left and right motion in the midsection. Up and down as well. Really, really smooth articulation. Man, I'm super impressed with this one. We also have the hip articulation, as well as the knee. Oh, it's moving. It's not super smooth right now. I'm going to have to warm that up, but it is moving. A lot of the time they don't move. And then you again have some more spots down here, forward and back right here in this area of the ankle, and then you've got a little bit more down here. You can also swivel most of these joints, as you can see, and then you've got another spot of articulation for the tail, up and down, left and right, and then another spot right here. All of the same, and then after you lead out into this point, it's basically just a wire tail, so you can then bend it pretty much whatever way you please. I have already gone over all of this in the previous review, though, so I don't really feel like there's much of a need to continue to kind of, beat a dead horse, as they say. But as far as comparing this one to the older version, here we now have the Beasts of the Mesozoic and Cyberzoic versions of the Achillobator, and as you can see, they do look very similar, which I actually really quite like. Like, with a few of the different paint variants of the dinosaurs that they have in this line, a lot of them look vastly different from the first version to the second version, whereas here we have two that look kind of similar as far as the coloration goes and the style of color and everything, which kind of allows them to look like they should be part of the same group, and again, maybe even potentially a male and female, and I absolutely love that because it makes it so much cooler to create a display with different variants, different color variants of dinosaurs that look kind of similar, look like they should be part of the same group, but do have their own individual style and coloration to them, their own individual charm, and you can very clearly see we have that going on here. Again, I would say the Beasts of the Mesozoic version would be my female, and the Cyberzoic version now would definitely be my male, especially with the lighter colors of these feathers. But again, I've already gone over the previous Achillobator in the initial review, so there's no need to really go over much more, I think, than what we already have for this version. No need to go over comparisons or anything like that, as we've already done that before since it is the same sculpt. But this new version is just as incredible, maybe even more incredible than the first version. Sculpt-wise, again, it is a fantastic looking figure. They definitely did a great job on the sculpt both times, obviously, since it is the same sculpt. But again, the detail is extremely vibrant, extremely impressive. Whether it be the skin texture or the feathers, it looks unbelievable here in person. You've got all of the impressive articulation you had the first time around on this one, and of course, the really nice, very smooth application of the paint with an extremely natural color scheme to it. I do have to again give a shout out and a thank you to David Silva for allowing me the opportunity to take a look at this one a little bit early right before these begin shipping. So that means that since these are about to begin shipping, you absolutely need to get your order in right away and, get this one pre-ordered before they begin shipping so that you can get this one headed your way as soon as they arrive. And of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.